Foucault Trevers, who was the curator of these first 3 weeks, will introduce him further and tell a little bit more about today, I hope.
Yes, I will. I will. Thank you so much, Lilet. And thank you all 40 other people to join today, and hopefully a little bit more as well. So this module 1 is about general introduction of urban planning and urban design and some key approaches that we know. In the topic of last week, we discussed in a very high speed many different topics, themes, urgencies, and why urban planning in Ukraine and urban recovery planning in Ukraine is so important. And to give some first interesting ideas how to approach that and to add new knowledge to your vocabulary. Today we will go deeper. We will go deeper because the second part, the second and the third hour, we will talk about Nijin together with the 3 groups, but we also talk about your personal fascination or interest in these different Nijin challenges that we have. Because even though I do consider urban planning as a science, there is always a personal fascination in this as well. Actually, that very often is so in science. You must have that link, you must feel it also, and then prove it, of course. But before going there, we have one of the people which is name I heard already at the very first week that I ever was in Ukraine. And that has a special, because of that, a special memory in my mind, but also a very sincere gratitude because Urs Thomann, who's here with us, he is one of those foreigners that was already interested in Ukraine and urban planning in Ukraine such a long time, far before many others started looking at it, and far before even in Ukraine, many people were working on that. Because he was one of the persons that, one of the 2 people behind, there were loads of people behind it, but one of the 2 main people behind Connections was Thomann and Mr. Zotov, the well-known Ukrainian architect. But next to that, he was also a Swiss well-recognized planner doing his work both in Switzerland for the last several years and in Ukraine, specifically also in Vinnytsia. Of course, he will correct me if I said anything stupid or wrong, but for me, it's really so nice to see that you made, with your own personality, but also with your Connections movement, you made already clear one of those key elements: learning, developing, going into the future. You can never do alone. I cannot do it alone in the Netherlands, even when Lilet is next to me. Others cannot do it alone in Ukraine. And you were one of those people that showed it by doing it. So, Urs, with this intro words, I would like you to just get it on and for about 40 minutes, and then there's a Q&A with you for the rest.
Yes, thank you, Fulco, for the kind words. Thank you, everybody, to be here with me. I saw some familiar names of people I had the pleasure and still have the pleasure to work with it. So it's a special situation for me. I am very happy and glad about to be invited for this lecture. Immediately agreed on it to take this opportunity to engage with you. And then when starting to prepare my lecture, I understood actually it's not such an easy task for me to talk about the topic that we decided with Fulco, city scale planning approach. On the one hand, which is quite a wide topic, we agree with Fulco a bit on what to focus, makes it a bit easier. But then also Fulco mentioned the background or the history that I have with many years working in Ukraine in different times, different situations. And now when talking about recovery, I'm probably maybe the least experienced persons here in this call who is dealing with recovery issues, because yeah, during my time in Ukraine, mostly it was about development. In Switzerland, it's only about development and earning money and more and more. And now we have topic situation of recovery. So I think it was a good moment for me to reflect a bit also. And as I said, when I started to work on my presentation, I hope you see it. Huh? Yeah. I took some thoughts to get into the topic, and I decided actually probably also an opportunity for this talk with you, because what can I give you? Planning approach, concepts on the city. There are a lot of very good lectures of better speakers than me in the internet, on YouTube. You all know a lot of it already, as I understand you're a practitioner, you're practicing. So, but what I can do mostly is a bit reflect together with you on these approaches and on my experiences, and probably also sometimes doubts in it. And this is what I would do mostly in the next 40 minutes. Some introductory thoughts about the past. Then we agreed with Fulco 2 planning approaches on the city scale, which are very important, were important or still important in the practice of the area where I was mostly working in it so far in my life. And I'm sure they're also very relevant for the area we're entering and the situations we are entering together in Ukraine, or in Ukraine, already in Ukraine. Yes, and then that's actually a bit the outline. Also, then a bit looking beyond of the experiences and with some current activities I mentioned. So, city scale planning approaches, what it is. Of course, it is about conceptual visions of the city. That's probably what you expect the most. And that's maybe also one of the reasons why I'm here, which Fulco mentioned. Vinica Development Strategy 2014, which illustrates probably the first thought that we have when talking about city scale and planning approach. So kind of a visualization of the development and envisioned development of a city, showing where what should happen, what are the structural elements in it, and on what we focus the most. So I think that's a clear a clear element of this topic. The other one, now to go to the next slide, the other one, of course, it is also about planning methods. So how are we working then? I'm sure also this is nothing new for you. We are in an age of so-called integrate. We try to integrate also, integrate things together, different spheres. I also saw the Fulca mentioned it and showed it in his presentation. So it's how we do our planning about we have kind of a vision of the future where we would achieve, and then we have some tools and some methods, and then also what is important here in this scheme, it's from the first connections year, some interventions, how we can, mostly short time here in this case, and always it will come later also in my presentation, the importance of short-time interventions that help us to develop in the direction of this vision. So Yes, but here, yeah, this is this planning methods and planning philosophy also. It's not so much about the plan itself, but it is about planning. It is a process which adapts to what we know in the current circumstances. Doing this all is important. We have to know we are embedded in institutions. We have a framework for planning, which sometimes, which every country is a bit different. In Ukraine, it is like many things. It's quite, how to say, dynamic. Here, just it's not only the name of the ministry who is changing. There are different focus who are changing, and maybe the city planning is not always. Or we are city planners, urban planners, architects, and it is the highest priority in our daily life. At least in the work life. It is not so per se in the state. It is not so per se for everybody. And that's something also which makes things more challenging that they seems. Together with then every country also has its planning system. I think what my experience was in Ukraine very important. So we have it. I showed this website from the ministry. We have somehow together development and planning, which makes a lot of sense. It is about planning, is about the development, but in a way, these are different ways of thinking, different focus. Something is more economic. We are in the spatial, and then we also have the levels of state. Today, we are talking about this city level, okay, local level, and then already it starts now in the Ukrainian reality. Okay, when the city, now with the amalgamated city, it is often more than just a city. It's a whole territory. It makes also planning, especially probably maybe for architects, a bit not so obvious as it is on the first case and then the first picture that I showed. It's more than this. We have to understand as planners, we are part of historical processes. These processes are not linear. We have here just the illustration, the history, the 33 years. 4 years already of independence of Ukraine. Things have to be confirmed, then immediately confirmed. One step back, 2 steps forwards, and sometimes even happen as we have it since 22 in Ukraine. Real disrupting where it starts anew, and that's also why you have the topic recovery. On this, I shared with you one of the please have a read of the text of my good friend from Connections, Vladislav Timinsky. Fulko shared it with you. This planning in Ukraine, I think it's really worth to reflect this history. Yes, and then we are coming, yes, in our mindset, or in my mindset, let's talk it. We are country development. We are talking about urban transformation with some images, maybe also from abroad in our head. We are practicing, doing competition, testing transformation as, how to say, by experienced planning approach. Come again later on it. Yes, and this is somehow one logic of the planning. And then things are happen, bad things are happen. Here in this case, this is really the example that my concrete example from Vinica, which I spent a lot of time with my colleagues working on planning, and then the missile attack in 22. 14 juillet, which changed everything on this square, and it's immediately another perspective. The perspective of recovery. It's not so much the future vision which is forming our planning, but more the situation, the setback from this horrible event when we are considering a place. So yes, so that makes things more complicated in my my understanding. That's why I'm sure many of you or most of you also are working together with Fulco now. Planning is not so easy. Guidelines, toolboxes, they don't help us so much anymore in our times. We have to find ways to engage in this situation, and it is also a moment to reconsidering for a lot of us planners, architects, who are we in fact and what we are doing. We are experts in planning. We know how to make plans. We have our approaches. We even know probably how the city would work the best. So we are experts. But in the end, we are not the one in the end who decide what is planned, what is not planned, what it is politicians, it's the society. We are there are forces around us who are in fact then a lot decide on what we do. So it's so this is turbulences. So there is a statement from our colleagues, Urbanism is Frozen Politics from Urban Think Tank, which we had visited in connections at I think 2017 or so, which tell so. We are, as urbanists, we are talking about teamwork, interdisciplinarity. We are also in a positive thinking way about participation, how we engage with people to find solutions. But in the end, the result, it is a lot also about compromises. It is the result of negotiations. There is no ideal results. It will end somehow, about this, somehow the results of relations, of power relations in the whole development. So that's maybe also a way, the introduction, and also when I come to the case in Vinica, this nice picture I showed in the beginning, what we have today, maybe also how our plans for the future look like. So there is nothing so ideal as in the minds and the approaches of the planner is. Then the topic of the lecture, in fact, is not so, a bit less philosophical, but more concrete now, approaching this city scale planning approaches, urbanism, urban planning. Also, Foucault mentioned it in his lecture, what it is about. Here a bit repeating. It is a complex situations, design. We are designing the functioning of the built environment, considering various layers or aspects like well-being, socioeconomics, technical aspects, and last but not least, also aesthetics, which are representing also there is a way of zeitgeist of our vision of the city, how it is functioning, how these things fit best together, and also as aesthetics. You see here two epochs. Paris in the 19th century, which is maybe again kind of an ideal of our future, also not only of the past, of lively streets, of the buildings of a more or less human scale, and a lot of dynamics in the streets. And on the other hand, here a painter in the same style, also a positive image from Kiev, from the 20th century, also is showing the image of urbanity, of life, of urban, of this built environment from an epoch from the 20th century, and that's in fact this two also images here. I think the classical view, there were more also phases and very relevant phases in the past, also for today's concepts. I think also Maciej in his next lecture, I'm sure he will tell about some of them when we are coming to urban design. But what is interesting, so Paris will also be the next one. I'm coming back to Paris. Paris as kind of a inspiration of this city scale of urbanity, of the ideal city. Yeah, Paris as a place, Europe, Western Europe, a city which is more than a city. Coming the end of my lecture on it. The city doesn't end at the city border, administrative city border. Paris, which is, yeah, actually the municipality of Paris, which is only a small part of the Paris area. Yeah, so we had this classical Haussmann Paris, order, region, but also this urbanity in an ordered way, with a lot this design. It is a lot of design in it, living space, and the balance in the street from the facade, or not only from the facade, inside the building, street, first floor, ground floor, life. Then the sidewalk, the roadway, the trees. So that's the idea from Haussmann's Paris. Then Le Corbusier, functionality, separation to bring in, because yeah, a new order into the cities, where a lot of legacy we have, not only in Ukraine, we have a lot of this legacy also in Western Europe, and then to nowadays kind of a ideal. So it's about proximity in the city. Cities were growing, life is becoming more complex in the city. And we have this from also again, it's again Paris, which is here an inspiration for cities all around the world, with the concept of the 15 minutes city or the city of short distances. Both is about proximity in a polycentric city made of multiple complete neighborhoods. So it is, yeah, this multiscalar approach from, as you saw in the image on the bottom, see, from a city block to a territorial proximity, which is more than the city border, people-centered environment, a city that gives space back to nature and biodiversity. And also, and that's maybe the most defining part of this concept, it's a vibrant society. It has a very social, also strong social dimension. One thought of me why proximity became so important in our time. It's not only, yeah, because this social interactions, but also because in our times we have so much opportunities, a city of services. It is very important of this factor of things nearby with all the the opportunities that we have in developed countries, which make it so attractive as a as a concept for the urban development. As I said, it's a global inspiration already. Yeah, be honest, it started before it was so much boomed by Paris. Other cities nowadays, also in Bern, it's not the 15 minutes, but the 10-minute city, because the smaller city. Also in Vinica, this is inspiring the thinking about the planning about the future, and yeah, there's all around the world. A couple of aspects of it. So it is the aspiration of transforming the city towards better urban social functions. It is strong influence from the experience during Corona lockdown, when really to everybody this importance and the quality of social interactions got obvious. It's about better living, caring, learning, enjoying, working, supplying. So the whole city life, which promoting, yeah, again, we are coming aesthetic requirements, we are public spaces on different scales which are engaging people, efficient mobility solutions, efficient in terms of space, efficient, that we have place for other space in the city for other important aspects. Yeah. I think everybody of you already heard about it. I shared here in my presentation, you will get it afterwards, the link from Catherine Gall, who made the lecture 30 minutes about that for our friends at Wifferden Forum this summer, who explains also the academic background very good of this concept. So I strongly recommend you just to dive in deeper in this 15-minute city, looking this lecture at YouTube. The second concept, which is very important, I think very relevant for Ukrainian city, and that's actually how I met Fulko. It's actually a topic where Fulko would or can tell a lot and would make the much better lecture on it than me. However, it is very relevant also in terms for Ukraine, and not only for Ukraine, for the whole world, because it is it is a sensual, it brings in a very sensual approach to the city in time where lot I showed also maybe also our Vinica image that I showed first. It's about big master planning, big infrastructure project, changing the city, reshaping the city, Haussmann, whereas the urban acupuncture is a subtle effect which identifies in the city specific situation of so-called energetic places with small interventions, which then can generate also the aspect of social interaction is very important in it, and having transforming also. I think it is about healing situation in the city in it. One of the most famous examples is of course Curitiba, from its mayor and urban planner Jaime Lerner here on the picture above. It is not only about small, like the picture down, it's in the photo from Bologna, of a small place, maybe neglected place, which has the qualities. It is in the end also on a larger scale. Curitiba transformed it with a very cost-effective element of the bus rapid transit system, bringing people at certain places, generating social interactions, which in the end also economic benefits, and it's a very pragmatic concept. So if you want here a citat from Lime, if you want creativity, cut the zero of your budget. If you want sustainability, cut of 2. I think that's also a very interesting aspect in it. And the temporal aspects with the temporal aspect. So these can be temporary installations like here, again, Curitiba's portable streets, which brings in the street life, the nice street that we showed. We know it from Paris and everywhere. Even with it's not, you can bring it like here on these pictures. You can bring, if you don't have yet the street to bring the people to the street, you can bring such nice streets to the people in a temporal way, like here, where they can sell and buy their products. So it is about drawing people out to the streets and creating meeting places. Mainly, it's about helping the city become a catalyst of interactions between people. So again, this social layer in urban space on different places in the city, which foster development. So these are these two important approach which I consider in Vinica when we started working about I think 2012 it was when I started, end of 2012, yes. It was when we started in it, in our developments. They quite a lot influenced what we did there and what we tried to do. A bit about it was about the transport system, about this bringing people to the street, the transforming potential of public transport, for for polycentric development, for canalizing some the social life, to generate generate your urbanity and the interaction. And as you see this from Kenneth Frampton, quite an interesting perspective. Kenneth Frampton is a famous architectural historic British American who said this megaform as urban acupuncture. So these scales, these two approaches also bringing together, and the importance of the public transportation as a force of shaping, shaping and planning the city, which can bring things together. To do this, you need political leadership in your city. You need local capacities, to work on, and then you can develop instruments and approaches in it, which are not only instruments and tools, are not only documents, or maybe documents are not the most, by far not the most important part, but also like the picture on the bottom, it's events, again a part of this urban acupuncture approach, to bring people together, to show urbanity, to connect them to your city. It is an approach to bring this two dimension I showed in the planning system illustration of the Ukrainian planning system, the, let's say, economic driven and abstract driven, mostly not spatially localized development perspective. So together with the spatial aspects, the territorial development, to attempt to spatialize, to localize, where you see all these nice goals that you have, that they can realize. For this, you have to know your city, you have to analyze your city. Now there are much even more advanced and better technical solutions available than we had 15 years ago. However, still it is about then to transform this information that you have into and connect it together into some kind of new structures which could have the power to define development and bring people, development, money, and so on together. Here, the attempt, this Corso, Vinica Corso concept, which is quite a small city, with a quite interesting structure where you can, this central artery of the city, together then also with this, also showed it in the 15-minute city approach, polycentric structure as an approach for planning the city. And then here in our case, as I mentioned, and also from Frampton mentioned, the aspect of the public transport system, which has to be thought. So city planning about, so Fulk also mentioned it, different scales from the city or even bigger than the city scale, to local scales, to very concrete, always important crossroads, which are probably the places where centrality can appear, and find then possible solution for this situation. It is about, of course, then in the end, project has to be realized, money has to be found, but again, there it's not only large scale infrastructure project, but also very small scale, subtle situation, like just to make accessible public transport stops, and so on, and so on. You say, as I said already, engagement in this project, the aspect of involving people yeah, it's not only for planning, but also for activities like Europe Day or City Day, activities like forums that you have, which help to spread the thoughts and the vision of the city to the people who are engaged. Okay, so this is history more or less from the past, which for certain way still is actual and still which is written on. Uh, yeah, also in yeah, now in war times still, yeah, the aspect of this European compact city, the city of now it transformed in the language from the compact city to the 15 minutes or the city 15-minute city or the city of more yeah of short distances. On the same time, one has also to say, yeah, a lot of things of these plans are not realized yet. A lot of things will never be realized, and the reason is not only the war that we have now, the reason is also because what I mentioned, there are stronger forces than city planners. Forces which are not always seen and which are not visible, and also they don't say anything. They don't say anything, they are just doing things. They are developing. So land allocation and so on. However, yeah, so there are some how to say lessons learned in a way, as I said, from what did not succeed, what was naive when you came, but also aspects you didn't consider enough because of, yeah, you set your plan, you set the limit, you set the goals, and then you don't work so much on other dimension. One of it is the dimension, as I already mentioned, beyond the city border, which was in 2012 very clear, like still around the settlement territory. Then already with the amalgamation of certain villages, it changes situation. So responsibility, potential, again, the land market is changing, and then depending on where do you live, on the size of the city, we can talk about agglomerations, functional urban areas. Where it and this is also what this territorial approach in the 15 minutes city, so it is going well beyond the city borders, how people are interacting in daily urban life. They are commuting, they are going yeah, for recreation and so on. So they're commuting in the center, they are going to recreation beyond the city borders, traveling. And yeah, this image here from WIF, this light pollution map shows it in a way very typical. Yeah, it's territory. It doesn't stop before the city, but also in a way, it's still here. It is a very centric. It is a very centric yeah situation. Whereas probably here in this down left the image on the left, it's from Bern. Which is much smaller than WIF, but still. So we see more kind of a polycentricity, but in any way you see everything is this is sticking together. And then here also on the top both, so this is about urbanity and the daily life. But when we are considering even the territory, the landscape, then again it is even more, how to say, more obvious that this administrative border, they are very important for our acting of what we can do, again, I'm coming back to the power relations, but in the way of the system of the environment, and so it is just one of the element, just one, and we have to thinking beyond it, and to also to shaping to find approach which shape this and design this environment beyond city borders. WIF is doing some attempts in it with agglomeration. Here you see again it is about this Sistema Rossellenia, so the settlement system overlaid with a vision of railway, local suburban railway system, but also reflects quite of a still just a functional understanding of it. It is not very distinct. It somehow it is already see. So okay, it is connected together. There are not only the center, but it is not yet the system, the understanding of the whole system. And what would be a vision then to how to deal with it is here illustrated in this example from Köln-Bonn, which is even more than just an agglomeration. It is a metropolitan area of maybe one could say 3 agglomerations, Bonn, Köln, and also Düsseldorf. To rethinking or considering these systems, these layers of the landscape structures that are bringing in together with the typologies of settlements, where what activities and so on, and then brought together, structured by a very dense system of public transport, and a system of public transport which is not only dense but also, how to say, manifolded. So there are different different means of public transport, but also different priorities. So from intercity to tramway, and connecting different centralities in it. Also, I think on the aspect of transport, there will be a separate model. Don't go too deep here now on this. Just repeating again that the potential of the very effective and very structuring element, and also means where the public investment, be it local investments, but also from international donors and even investors, can help you to somehow to streamline the development of the city. But so this is a very traditional view in a way still for urban planners, for architects, urbanists, urban designers on the city, the elements. Actually, when we are looking on such situations of agglomerations from above, it's sometimes hard to see such structures, and not so much about the space. Okay, there are spatial elements visible, but probably it is not so much the spatial elements which are defining it, but relations between different kind of actors. So this is the actor network theory, which is very important also from planning, from Latour, which says that not only people, institutions can be actors, but also but also places, for example, or even ideas, which just ideas, or like a concept for a city, which generates some dynamics which fosters the development of an area. And here the attempt here for this this situation here, the developments on this city border from Rif, which its neighboring community, which now since 22 gets a hotspot for logistics settlements, new logistics allocations. So far, only road oriented from the Western European border, and two, in future also with the railway stronger, with European gauge railway stronger, also the huge potential also for railway logistics. And then here the illustration, as an analysis in it so far, what are the driving forces in this development, which showing also then some kind of power relation in it. So, for example, with things which we see that an institution which in a way we consider as responsible for it, in fact, is quite not so strong, whereas on what we have here in the case of the ring road, how it looks like just some developments, local developers who are doing their logistics parks there, and what we have there, or also that institutions in a city council, city administrations, which in fact have a central, right? Probably their interconnection is not as strong as it could be, maybe should be, probably, and maybe in a certain that a very important actor, again, what we consider would be important, is not so strong yet in the process as others are from the same administration. And for the planning, the task would then to find to reshape these relations in a way that approves that allows this achieved envisioned integrated development. And the last topic, very important, I think, and again coming back a bit on the aspect of the urban acupuncture, it's the topic about housing. And in this, the topic even more important, and we are always talking about housing, but where does the housing take place? It is take place on land. And unfortunately, in Ukraine, in a lot of Ukrainian cities, the aspect of municipal lands, first of all, there are not so many anymore, because they during the privatization, it was not so envisioned. On the other hand, the planning the activities on these municipal lands is not so strong as it could be, and as we know, here I think the worth reconsidering as a inspiring, but maybe also very with extreme thought from the 70s, 80s, Walter Segal, who is also, again about who found places in a city of land spots difficult to develop and therefore not interesting for the huge developer, where they allowed in a very easy way to self-building. It was also for him about self-building, experimental housing, allocating for families, very in a way, let's say cheap. The cheap housing, but also housing with a strong identification of it, as they were building it by hands, by their own hands in a way, and bringing a lot of energy to this so far more neglected places of the city. Something in this way, but this unfortunately was not developed very far in Vinica, but in the first days after the full-scale Russian invasion, when the topic of housing for internally displaced people become more and more active. The first ideas scenario, as probably everyone, okay, we are building housing, we have huge plots, developers, and there can and in the scenario left, for allocating more inhabitants in the city in the future, classical vision, probably also the way the development of the city a lot in the recent decades did happen, and then a countering idea of, okay, actually we have a lot of a lot of infills, possibles for infills in different sizes, from small sizes like illustrated in the image before from Walter Segal, to bigger sizes in the modernist neighborhoods, where we could therefore this infill developments, which so far I think it's a bit the classical way, probably in any city like this. The easiest way then is, of course, municipal housing. Here in this case of Vinica, we see different locations with housing more or less in the same typology and built the same way as also other housing, but at least it is, you see, decentralized at special places, the aspect of municipal housing. And then that's definitely the last thing, and which just launched also the case of city of Lviv, also reconsidering the potentials for municipal housing of lands which are available, where the city can have stronger influence of where to build, how to build, for whom to build, and and then also partly to generate synergies with the areas around. So and there is one huge area in the northern part of Lviv, interesting, the history seen as the location of a new housing district. Already in older master plans in a, let's say, traditional modernist way. Then before 22, reconsidering, okay, we have the concept of the compact city and a lot of areas in Lviv for transformation, and it's not now the task to develop it, which saw this area as a recreational place, not for development. But then with the new the situation that we have now, again, even higher demand for housing, but also kind of a huge generator, synthesizer of development in this area, the Unbroken Hospital with its whole ecosystem in this area, together with this municipal land use as an opportunity to for development, not only develop this area, but also the recovery of Lviv, and not only Lviv. It is this development for sure, with not only due to the Unbroken Hospital, but also to its size per se and the location relevance well beyond Lviv. We see here the attempt to bring municipal investments, social buildings, municipal housing, public transport together. With on top we have what is happening beyond these areas, the private investments, the private development, not very well structured and not very well in the size that one would achieve. Try to find in this format of test planning, which to find possible solutions for this development according to the principles also of the 15-minute city, in a process where several teams are considering ideas of how this area could be developed, which are in feedback loops together considered, discussed, and kind of also tested how they could work and applicable for realization, for drafting then a new master plan. I think it's probably a format, if I'm not wrong, Fulco will correct me, you also applied in the thinking about Mariupol, in this parallel in this situation where interdisciplinary parallel teams, and you work on the ideas and you are sharing this knowledge and sharing insights which you learn about. So designing is also about doing research and learning about exploring about the city. So this to conclude again, to make this connection about thinking about forms, structures of a city, but then also finding the suitable methods in a situation for processes of shaping, for creating plans for the future development of the city. Yeah, so that's more or less a bit more than 40 minutes, but I hope still time for questions and discussions. Thanks a lot.
Let's give some time for emoticons. Yes, yes. Okay. There were already 2 questions in the chat, but let's see if this is, if we have some people who want to speak up, that's easier than and nicer than when I would read them out loud. Maybe Vitalina or Alessia, please step up, or somebody else who raises the hand first. Solomia. We don't hear you. We don't see you either. You're muted and your camera is out.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Super. Thank you. It's incredible lecture and very interesting how it works in Ukraine. And in your opinion, what comparing with European cities, what in Ukraine work better or very good, and what we have a problem in this field? Yeah, because you use a lot of cities and you can compare. And also the second question about agglomeration, Lviv agglomeration. As I know, there are some ideas that we should to have some there are some institutional not finished. It's and how its agglomeration should be worked better. How do you see again using European experience and how we can use it in Lviv agglomeration? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, thanks. Okay, I start with the second question, answering the second question. Yes, you are right, and it's a very important aspect of institution and governance is very important, and it's a challenging situation, challenging on the city scale. Coming back to the first question, but even more challenging in the agglomeration scale. So it is easy for urban planners to draw some, as I showed in the example from Köln, for example, some structural ideas. But however, the aspect of institution then for us is very important. I think, and this is partly showed, or especially here in Switzerland showed, there are probably two aspects which are very important. One is if there is some kind of a governmental support, kind of a fund, who can encourage this cooperation between municipalities in a way is very important. And then in this, of course, there are the what do you have to get this? So in Switzerland, it's not only to work together, but you have to develop a spatial vision together. So that's just to get money for it. And the second one, and that's, I think this is the first one is lacking in Ukraine so far, but the second one, and this attempt in Lviv, which I think it's could work, and they work. So if you have, as the Lviv Agglomeration Association, you have a local institution, even if it's not so strong anymore yet, but it can be an important gap filler. So it can take care about issues which so far are not clear, but issues which are important, as this example that I showed about this logistics hub, about this area, 2-3 communities together and with a very concrete outcome. And then you have, so if you can take care about it and you have some resources to it, so this can really foster this process of cooperation and process then of planning also together in this. Yeah, and in concerning your first question, which is a tricky one, I just can say also in Switzerland a lot of things don't work very well. It's always a matter of a lot of plans failing. Worldwide, 80%, I think, of plans are not realized. There are some statistics on this. What I liked always in Ukraine, it is maybe planning is closer to action. So and that's very, very important. Very important, and probably these are some learnings of me. So with the Switzerland, we are doing.
Can I use this? Can I use this sentence to ask the last question that was in the chat also? Sorry, Olga, Vitalina, we come back to you. But when you say planning is closer to action, there is a question from Gilda. Do you see a risk that tactical urbanism, so I would call action urbanism, and small-scale interventions become a replacement for long-term planning in Ukrainian cities? And how can we design or link them maybe otherwise?
It's a very good question, and it's definitely a risk. And not only in Ukrainian cities, we have this experience in our cities. I think it is an important aspect. So one of the sustainability of such actions is, on the first hand, very important. Who is planning? Who is implementing them? And definitely for me as a planner, it's clear as an urban planner. So the importance of some city scale planning vision, planning concept, instrument on it is a must. It is a must. And even if they are only partly like it, so they are formulating some kind of a guideline, guiding where you want to go, and then they need, in order to have and that's probably one of the challenges in Ukraine more than here. They have to have certain, not only legitimation, but even some kind of legality in it. So that's important that you have this.
Nice. Let's move to Olga. We don't hear you. We don't hear you. We don't hear you, Olga.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Olga, we don't hear you. Maybe Olena, you can tell Olga because she might be in the other channel. We don't hear you. We were waiting for such a long time for your question.
Can you hear me now?
No, yeah.
Hi, thank you for the wonderful action. And I wonder in what format can housing build in municipal land? Either it's privatization or leasing format, or it's just social housing for temporary stay?
More or less, so everything is possible. So to be honest, I don't know the exact legal framework in Ukraine for it. But what is doing for sure, and it's in the case of Vinica, it is the municipality who is building it in a special yeah, by there. What is also here then very often is done, so it is giving building rights for certain way for non-profit organization. Zurich is one of the world capitals of not only of the banks but also of the Genossenschaft, of the housing corporations. Which are developing the housing not on in a non-profit manner. Yeah, so these are certain certain possibilities for it.
We had a long search if we would put a specific topic of housing and the legal frameworks within Ukraine in one of the modules, and so far we didn't do that. We can, of course, provide some links to interesting academic papers on that. It's not one of the most direct topics now that we were placing in urban recovery in this module, right, Lidet?
Yeah, I was thinking already to add when Urs was talking about land and land use. To point everybody's attention, I will also put a link in the chat later on. We have on the 9th of October we have a lecture on land use in Ukraine. I think very relevant for this group to.
This is outside of this module, right? So I did this module course, but it's extra interest. Yeah. Nice. Vitalina?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this comprehensive overview. I feel like my mind is a bit scattered because we've heard a lot of different approaches and stuff. So if it's not much trouble, I'd like to ask Urs maybe to reiterate the main message that I should take from this lecture, because now I feel a bit confused. So if you could do that, thank you.
That is a very honest and probably for everybody very helpful question.
Yes, so I think it is regarding to one of the questions that we had with the tactical urbanism and the overall master plan. So I think one of the main, it is very important to have this city scale vision, this city scale understanding of that, of the development of the planning that you have. On the same time, you can't be how to say, you can't only think like this. So the importance of this urban actual very local also small interventions is key. But these two levels or these two approaches, they have to be connected together in order that the effect that it comes to the effect in it. And the second thing, maybe that was the start. One has to consider the context where you are in. Probably a lot of planners, and we are some of our professions. They are also almost activists, and we are coming in with a lot of intention, good intention, a lot of activity, but and positive. But on the same times, there are different forces, be it historical, be it power relations, which also have to be considered, and also have their value. Just maybe to one thing, maybe it is the system of the city. So maybe too far. We also know it too fast. Change is not only good. So this considering of the exact context in time, in place, in relations between different actors is always important too.
I think Olesia's your question is also about that, so that is good bridge.
It's not the same question. Hello everyone. So my question is about agglomeration. I sent my question in the chat, and it's about an agglomeration has been formed in Odessa right now. So, but so far only in words, unfortunately. And the Russia, the settlement that there are part of this agglomeration begin their dialogue with the administration of their central. Unfortunately, there is no activity from Odessa. it's a very important question because there is an important issue, because there is a situation when the city of Odessa doesn't want to coordinate the urban planning documentation of neighboring communities, and all of this situation is, but they in the meetings they agree.
And that's interesting. And we see a similar question from Mikhailo about the Lviv agglomeration, actually. So how the willingness or unwillingness, or on paper or in reality, how that cooperation between on this regional level or metropolitan level, how it's going to be formed. So maybe some last words from you on this side, and then we have a break probably.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so. First of all, I'm quite glad and probably surprised. Also, I'm surprised a bit, but glad that this topic is also new, considering such a lot. And maybe it is also something which makes things, a lot of the challenges that I mentioned on the scale of agglomerations, they are even bigger. And we try to solve it now there, makes things not easier. So, but on this, probably the most important thing, I think what is very, for me, positive in these discussions that we have now, even not yet possible to really cooperate in it, really doing concepts, plans, strategies in it, really to work with it. Things just get visible that there are no good and bad municipalities, more or less, or are all, especially also in land policy, more or less all are doing the same. Often it is kind of a, okay, the city is good, the ones beside they are bad because they are developing high, they are developing too much, or vice versa, the city one just takes everything and decide everything. But actually it's neither like that. So if you see, consider more or less, the thinking is quite similar. Some of course, bigger cities, they have more capabilities to doing things. That's why also they are doing probably some things a bit better or a bit than others. But in general, it is really about them to just the value to sit together to start these issues. You mentioned some of them, consider to discuss them together, and this understanding we are sitting in the same system, the same boat, and we have to find ways together. I think that's already a very good and important step ahead. And yeah, so that the issues, they become visible. So first, not only, also, and that the people are thinking about it. This is already for me a very, very big progress, where I am somehow, optimistic that step by step, then also the working together can start.
Optimistic ending. That is good.
Yeah.
That is very good. Let's wrap it up for now. Lilette, back to you, and you explain what to do next. And
yeah,
I will think just Urs, like always. Thanks a lot, but Lilette will do that as well, I guess.
Yeah, thanks a lot to all of you. Also, and wish you a lot of good time together and success, and hope to see something again, some of you again, and some also of the program. I'm sure the lectures will be online, and we'll be glad also to see other lectures and what you're doing together. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we will be for sure also inviting you for our very last session. Very welcome to come if possible to see some outcomes of those 12 weeks. But we will let you know later on. And thank you for now, for your time, for your ever commitment to the country, but also to the profession, which we think is a very relevant one. And I think you are one of those activist urbanists that you just described. Thank you so much, and thank you, Elena, again for the